One of the toughest accents you can add to your F-150 build for a much more aggressive look is a set of Lund's Rivet Style Fender Flares. This set of RX-Rivet Style Fender Flares gives your F-150 the protection you need for some off-road action, as well as a great new custom look. Designed to give you more clearance for larger off-road tires, these fender flares protect the sides of your truck so you can push through some of the rugged terrain without worrying about damaging your investment. Setting up the fender flares starts with attaching the rivet bolts to the flares. Tighten them all down with the supplied locking nuts. When that is finished, begin attaching the rubber seal to the edges of the fender flares that hug the truck. There is a specific way that the seal installs, so make sure the wing side is angled the correct way, or else it will not fit properly on the truck. In the front of the truck, remove the two front bolts on the fender flare near the headlight. Then unclip the rest of the push pins on the inside of the stock flares. The last pin is underneath the flare by the door, then carefully pull the flare from the truck. The trim removal tool may help here to reach behind the stock flares. If your two clips near the headlight stay attached to the truck, remove them and replace them in the stock flare to save them. There will most likely be some dirt gathered behind the stock flare, so clean it off in preparation for installing the new fender flares. Remove the bolts underneath the stock flares that attach the fender to the truck. They will be reattached later with the flares installed. Now the front flares can be set in place and the three retaining bolts removed earlier can be tightened back down on the flare. Install the brackets into the notches of the flare that correspond with the bolt holes in the fender. The bracket inserts into the flare and the factory screw holds them in place. This completes the front fender flare install, so now let's move on to the rears. Unbolt the lower screw on the front and rear of the stock flare. Then move on to unclipping the factory push pins along the inside of the stock flares. Pry off the fender flares from their clips on the inside, and the stock rear flare can be removed from the rear fender. Also on the rear there will be black clips that might not have come off with the stock flare, so remove them from the fender. Clean off your fender with detail spray, then the Lund fender flare can be set on the fender. The rear is held on by push pins in the lower mounts and the body clips on the upper mounts. The clips have a tab that will catch the flare when fully pushed all the way. They can be tricky and take some force to get on there, but once they're on, the flare install is completed. The fit and finish of the Lund fender flares is pretty spot on. The finish offers an as-is black accent to your vehicle, or they can be custom painted to match your factory paint. Overall, these fender flares are a great way to add some mass and a more custom look to your F-150 without adding a huge lift kit, but still upgrading your truck's looks.